What exactly is healing? Where does it start? Where does it end? And how do we even know if we are healing? That's exactly what we're going to discuss in today's video. So whatever we're going to talk today, it comes from my experience of working with different kinds of people that had different kinds of problems in the last 5 years. And it also comes from my own experience of my healing journey with different aspects of my own life. And over the last few years, my idea of healing has changed. After working with so many people and seeing different kinds of problems and circumstances, my idea of healing has evolved. Today, I'm going to present to you the same. And we're going to discuss slightly a broader angle of healing. Of course, there are a lot of intricacies and nuances to it. But today, I'm going to take a step back and give you a broader perspective of what healing is for people who still find it difficult to understand what exactly it is. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Before we start, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, or if you would like to join any of my monthly group coaching sessions, click the link in description. So let's start with an example. Examples are great ways to learn something. So let's just consider Red. Okay, so Red is let's say, teenager, and she is going through really difficult circumstances in her life. Now, this applies to men, women, everyone, okay? And it doesn't necessarily mean that the problems that you faced in your teenage years are the ones that you have to consider. Even if you're an adult and you had certain difficult circumstances that you faced in your adulthood, you can still consider that. Let's say Red is going through difficult circumstances in her life. It could be maybe her parents are fighting all the time, or maybe her father is emotionally unavailable, maybe her mother is emotionally reactive and she throws words at her, maybe they are not tending to her emotions, or maybe they're comparing Red with others and they're making her feel like she's not good enough. And she could be having some difficulties with her school as well. Maybe she's being bullied. Maybe she's not able to make friends. When she tries to make friends, they either betray her or cheat her or abandon her. Maybe she's having difficulty with dating. Maybe she has some self-image issues. Maybe she thinks that she is not good looking or she is not good enough. No one will value her. So let's say Red is going through some of these circumstances, okay? Now, because of these difficult scenarios, and Red is taking all of these scenarios very personally, and what does it mean when we take things personally? It means that we think all of these things are happening because there is something wrong with us. Something about us is causing these things. That's what taking personally means. That's why, if you see, I'm going to keep Red aside for a while. Here's a quick tip. If you see, you and I could be going through the same problem, but you could come out of it with a fear and I could come out of it with a lesson. And you could take it personally and feel bad about yourself. I will not take it personally and just move on from that scenario, right? We have seen this happening. We have seen people going through similar problems, but one person deals with it in a very destructive way and the other person deals with it in a very constructive way, because some people take things personally. They think whatever is happening has something to do with them. Some people don't. They just know that whatever happens, certain things are in their control, certain things are not. Like how people perceive us, how people talk to us, how people treat us, that's not in my control. I could be a good person and people can still treat me in a shitty way, but that's not on me. Why should I take it personally? So because of this attitude, they come out of a problem in a constructive way. And many of the times, a lot of problems seem so difficult because we tend to take it personally. Now, Red is taking these things personally, and Red thinks that something about her is causing these problems, and she thinks something could be wrong with her, okay? Now, taking personally is one thing that Red has problems with. Because of all of these circumstances, Red is forming certain negative, limiting beliefs about herself. Instead of calling it beliefs, I think the right word would be fears, okay? Fears are the right word. So she's forming certain fears inside her. Okay, she is also adopting certain behaviors to deal with these situations. Now all of these are very challenging, difficult situations, right? And you have to adopt a behavior. Because Red is taking it personally, she thinks she has a part to play, right? So she is going to try and change her behavior to see if it has an effect on the outside world or other people. This is how taking things personally ends up changing a lot of behaviors about ourselves. It's quite destructive to take things personally. She changes certain behaviors. For example, let's say her parents are fighting, and maybe she thinks it's because of her for whatever reason, and in order to deal with it, she doesn't know how to deal with it. So what she does is maybe she isolates herself, because she thinks it's because of her. She just thinks that if I just go out of sight, if I just isolate myself, maybe it will be better. So she just isolates herself and she doesn't come out of her room until the fight is over. And she doesn't even do anything. She just stays quiet, like she is invisible, and once everything is done, she feels okay to resume her life. Okay, now that could be a behavior that she adapted. Similarly, with her school and maybe dating life, because she wants to make friends, she could be pleasing people. She could overshare, she could tell her secrets, she could overly give a lot. She could be overly forgiving in order to make friends with people, right? And that is another behavior that she's adapting to deal with that difficult situation. So similarly, there could be a lot of behaviors that she's adapting to deal with this difficult scenario. Now, Red is growing, she's becoming an adult, she is going through a lot of changes in her life. She's moving cities, she's meeting new people, she's making new friends, she's dating someone new, and she's facing with new difficult challenges and circumstances. But because Red still carries these beliefs, like these fears from her past, and she still carries this behavior that she adapted from her past, and she expresses those things today to her present problems, to the people that she is meeting in her present life, like this moment, that is going to recreate the same scenarios from the past. That is going to make Red repeat the same things that has happened in the past. So what Red is doing is, Red is kind of trying to deal with life today, in reality right now, by using the beliefs, the fears that she had, and the behaviors that she adapted, and using these two, she is dealing with her present problems. This is called repeating. So Red is repeating and she is not evolving. As human beings, we should evolve. We should not repeat. What is evolving? Now, evolving means I am facing a problem today, and I need to deal with this problem in the best way possible. And it applies to any problem, workplace problem, personal relationships, financial problems, anything, okay? I need to deal with this problem in the best way possible. So how do I deal with it? What is the wise way to deal with a problem that I have today? I need to take the lessons from my past, and I need to have certain other, resilient mindset and certain strategies or certain behaviors coupled, like mix all of these things, and I deal with the problem. And if it doesn't work out, I try to go and find another solution for the problem, right? The solution should be something that solves the problem without destroying me, without sabotaging my life, without destroying my mental peace, without me repeating the same cycle over and over again. That's what evolving as a human being means. With every problem that is being presented to us, we deal with it in a better way, and then we become a slightly better person. We have more lessons, we have more wisdom, we have more knowledge, we become more resilient. That's how we evolve. But when we continue to operate from the fears and the behaviors that we have from the past, especially the destructive ones, we will continue to repeat the cycle again and again. And it looks like you're not evolving, but your whole life is like living the same scenario again and again. It's more like you're still living in the past, Like when you deal with your present problems, the same way that you dealt with your past fears and wounds, and with the same fears and wounds, you project the same to your today's problem, you're pretty much living the same life. Like you're living in the past, you're still living in the past, you're not living in the present moment. Okay, now I'm going to make it a bit more simple for us to understand. Okay, I don't care if I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, but I want us to understand this. We need to deal with our present problems for what it is. But when we have the fears and wounds from the past, and when we have these behaviors we adapted from the past, we still think we are dealing with the past problem. That's why we kind of project these things into our reality. And we project these behaviors today, assuming that we're still living in the past. That is firstly destructive. It's more like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We kind of self-sabotage. We cannot evolve with this kind of approach. Okay, we're gonna like rot. We literally rot, spiritually speaking. Okay, and it also reinforces the same beliefs and the same fears. Okay, because again, when we act from the place of fear, it reinforces the fear. Whatever happens, it's more like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It reinforces the fear. So we tend to recreate the same scenarios and reinforce the same beliefs. So just for an example's sake, I'm gonna quote Ginny and Georgia series from Netflix. If you guys have seen it, I think you might be able to slightly relate with it. It's actually a good one. If people have not seen it, you can see. So if you've seen it, I'm just going to take a small part as an example, okay? I mean, it has a lot of other things to it, the series. I'm just going to take a small part. Georgia had a very difficult childhood and she couldn't trust anyone, right? And she has this wound or this fear inside her that she can't trust anyone, right? So that fear is inside her. And then she meets Paul. Paul is a very good person, okay? Paul was very supportive. He was such a gentleman. He was taking good care of the kids. He was providing for her, and Paul was just perfect. I really liked Paul, okay? And he was even okay with accepting her even after he knew a lot of things about her. But Georgia, because she had this fear that she can't trust people, she kept a lot of things from Paul, even though he asked her to share things. So she kept a lot of things from him because of her own trust issues. And because she acted from that place of fear, she also ended up losing Paul. Now, I'm not coming to the murders and stuff, okay? That's a different area. But if Georgia had trusted Paul and he was open and vulnerable with him, he probably would have stayed with her throughout these things, like throughout all of those troubles and the case and everything. But she didn't. So because she didn't trust him, she kept things from him, she said a lot of lies because of that trust issue. It ended up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy where Paul left her. Paul definitely didn't deserve what he went through. He left her. So which again reinforces her belief that I can't trust people. So this is pretty much what happens when we act from a place of fear, okay? Now I'm going to give you another example for people who didn't watch Ginny and Georgia. So let's say you're trying to date someone, okay? You have this fear that you can't trust people. Okay, you have trust issues, and what you tend to do is, in order for you to kind of know if you can trust this person or not, you tend to indulge in certain behaviors like picking fights unnecessarily, pushing them away, telling them that I don't need you, go away. Now imagine I'm trying to date you and you tell me I don't need you, go away. What would I do? I would go away. That's what secure people would do. Okay. Now, by secure people, I mean people who are kind of in a healthy space. You know, when you're trying to date someone really good, someone who's secure, someone who will be there with you, but you want to test them. Testing is actually a self-sabotaging behavior. So because you have trust issues and you want to test them, you kind of like push them away, do certain things to see if they will stick around. But that's your perspective, that's what you're doing. The other person is like, I'm trying to love this person, but why is this person pushing me away? Like, he's always telling me to leave. He's always like doing certain things or picking up fights for unnecessary things. So this secure person will be like, I can't take this anymore, I don't deserve this, and they leave. Okay, now what happens in your head is that, okay, I tried to push this person away, this person went, so see, I can't trust people anymore. Like, this is how it is. Anytime someone comes, I test them, they leave, so I can't trust people. So you're kind of reinforcing that belief. Now the problem is the trust issue or that fear you have, and because of that fear you are adapting certain behaviors like this testing and stuff. These are the problems. So we need to change the belief, and then we need to change the associated behavior into a slightly, healthier ones in order for us to deal with problems. Now, when we work on changing our beliefs and when we work on changing our behaviors that we have adapted, what happens is we tend to look at our problems, like the problems that we have today, from a different angle. The problem just looks like a problem to solve instead of taking it into our heart and mind and taking it very personally, right? So there are three angles, if I have to put it in order. One is to not take things personally. Okay, the things that happen around us is not because something is wrong with us, or it's not because we have a part to play in it. Okay, especially things that are out of our control. Things that are in our control, yes, we do play a part in it, and if we have control over it, we can change it. But when we don't have control over certain things, then we have nothing to do with it, so we should not be taking it personally. Okay, like your parents fight, you can't do anything about it. Two adults fighting has nothing to do with you. Your unavailable father, your reactive mother, again, you have no control over how they react or how they choose to spend their time. And it's the same with people who bullied you, it's the same with people who abandoned you, it's the same with how people perceive you, how people act with you, how people talk to you. Even if someone comes like to your face and they say something very disrespectful, you still have no control over it, right? Someone could actually do that, but you have control over how you perceive it. You have control over how you take it, and that's the very first step to healing. Not taking things personally, especially the things that are not in your control. And the next step is to work on the beliefs, the fears that you picked up from your past and your difficult circumstances. If there is a fear, okay, I want you, if possible, just write it down somewhere, take notes, okay? If you have a fear and you act from that place of fear, always, 100% of the times, it is not the right act or the right move to make. Anything you do out of fear is not the right move. So any fears, any limiting beliefs that we have, we really need to look into it and rewire those beliefs, redo those beliefs, change the beliefs inside you by forming a new belief, by repeating the same thing about yourself and giving yourself proof that this is my new belief. And lastly, the behavior. Any behavior that you still have that you adapted from your past, like pleasing someone, oversharing, over-explaining, telling your secrets, or being overly forgiving, or shrinking yourself, isolating yourself, testing people, pushing them away, anything. Whatever behavior you adapted from the past, you need to look into it, identify them, and change that behavior into something better. So, like I said, to give you a broader perspective, these three are like key pillars to healing. Okay, and to put things in a very simple way, healing is simply about learning to deal with our life problems, like the present problems, the reality for what it is today, instead of bringing in our fears or the survival tactics into it. I read a lot of spiritual books, and this is a constant reminder that I see in all the books, that you should always see reality for what it is today without adding the essence of your past. So when you see reality for what it is today, it's much easier for you to deal with it. It's also important for us to be more flexible with our problems, with dealing with our problems. Every problem requires a different way of dealing, like different way of approaching it, right? I can't be, dealing with a new person today the same way I dealt with my ex from 10 years back. That's a different person, and this is a different person. I need to deal with this person differently, right? It's the same thing, a lot of my clients that have difficult relationships with their parents, right? One of the common problems that I see in them is that today, when they meet anyone, right, they're not interacting with a new person. They don't even realize that they're interacting with a new person. They are interacting with the shadow of their parents. They're like, my mom used to body shame me. So today, if someone tells that I look good, I don't believe them. So they're not taking this compliment for what it is. They're still responding to the shadow of their parents. And it's the same with fathers. My father was emotionally unavailable. Now I am attracted to people, like guys who are emotionally unavailable. So they tend to go for people that represent their parents' shadows, or not necessarily just parents. It could be any shadow or difficulty that you faced in the past. So to come again, healing is looking at reality for what it is and dealing with reality for what it is, instead of bringing in our past fears and projecting it today in our present moment. And it involves a lot of things, guys. Like I said, it involves a lot of intricacies. Like, we need to build acceptance, we need to build resilience, we need to build flexibility, we need to learn how to not take things personally, we need to learn how to surrender and let go of the things that we can't control. So there are a lot of little practices and mindset that we need to adopt in order to kind of become a more resilient person and evolve as a human being. So this is pretty much a broader perspective of what healing is. I'm also going to just convey this story that I recently saw somewhere. Like, if you have a cup, okay, and you have something inside the cup, let's say you have coffee, and I push you, the coffee spills out, right? So because you had coffee, it spills out. If you had water in the cup, the water would spill out. If you had juice, the juice would spill out, right? Similarly, we are the cups, and we hold certain things inside us. And when life shakes us, whatever we have inside our cup, it spills out. If we have a lot of fears, it spills out. If we have a lot of doubt, it spills out. If we have a lot of, destructive behaviors, that spills out. But if we have love, love spills out. If we have a lot of joy and a lot of kindness and compassion to give, that's what spills out when life shakes us. So it's really important for us to keep our cups filled with love and joy and lessons instead of filling it with fears and wounds and projections from the past. And I would like to conclude this video by conveying just one more thing, which is the past is only needed for us to take our lessons from. We need to take our lessons from our past difficult experiences, tie it with the skills and the mindset that we have today to deal with the problem at hand, to best approach the problem at hand and tackle this problem to evolve as a human being. So this is a lifelong process. I have a problem today, I deal with it in the best possible way, and then I learn something from it, and then I evolve. And tomorrow I face another problem, I'm going to take the lessons that I had and again deal with that problem the same way. So our past is really important for us, but it's important to take the lessons, not the pain or the fear or the wound. And this is something that I do see a lot of my clients struggling with, which is to take the lesson from the past. And I know why taking the lesson from the past is difficult, because it requires us to take accountability. It requires us to take responsibility for our actions. It's really easy to say, I can't do anything about it. It's really easy to say that this is just how it is. This is how things are. People always cheat me. People always leave me. People always disrespect me. It's really easy to say that, but it is hard to look at the past and see the mistakes that we did, the part that we played in our own suffering, and to take the lessons from that and to embody the lessons today so that we can deal with the problem that we have right now in a better way. It's difficult. So that's why a lot of people just avoid taking lessons from the past, because we can easily avoid accountability that way. So it's really important to take accountability, to take responsibility, and to see the part that we played in our own suffering and problems and challenges. With that, we are at the end of the video. I hope that was helpful. Like I said, if you would like to work with me, you can check the link in description. I'll see you in another video. Bye bye. Take care.